Today on the Tech Bytes podcast, we talk about Internet Performance Monitoring, or IPM, with sponsor Catchpoint. Catchpoint provides visibility across the full internet stack to help you understand the performance of your SaaS and cloud apps, WAN and branch connections, and more. We're going to talk about how Catchpoint can enrich network monitoring with synthetic transactions that provide critical visibility into application performance from the user's perspective, and that's key. We welcome back guest Leo Vasiliou, Director of Product Marketing at Catchpoint, who joined us for a Tech Bytes recording back in February. Leo, welcome back to the podcast. So just for a refresher, what is Internet Performance Monitoring, IPM?
Well, first, thank you for having me back. It's an absolute pleasure. And to the question, what is it? Well, here at Catchpoint, we like to say the internet is your new network, and that a reliable, resilient internet stack that delivers your digital products and services is business critical. And so, Internet Performance Monitoring, or IPM, is all about giving orgs the visibility into those internet stacks. And what does that do? Well, we believe the main thing it does is reduce the frequency, duration, and impact of incidents.
What do you mean by internet stack?
Think of it like this. You've got an application stack that's used to create your products and services, or sometimes we say experiences. The internet stack is what takes the handoff and actually delivers it to users wherever the heck they are in the world.
Can you tell us a little bit about how Catchpoint collects this information? Because the internet is a big place. It's a lot to monitor.
That is a lot to monitor indeed. Fortunately, we've been doing this for a very long time and have done a lot of the instrumentation for you. So if you could first picture a globe with thousands of dots all over it, we call this our observability network of intelligent agents, thousands of agents around the world. And what makes this network of agents extremely unique is the coverage and also the types of coverage. So hundreds and hundreds of those agents sit in the cloud for telemetry at the source. We say in a conversational way, hundreds and hundreds on backbone, broadband ISPs to monitor the core internet stack plumbing itself, if you will. Then hundreds and hundreds on the last mile eyeball networks, 5G agents, MEC, etc. And understanding that foundational network set of agents is critical to now answer the question, how do we collect this information? How do we give that visibility? We use that network to run your basic synthetics tests, your internet synthetic tests. Sometimes we say active monitoring, running probes against web, DNS, API trace routes. And then there's also distributed application tracing, BGP monitoring, web page test, and finally, real user telemetry from where those users, devices, and networks actually are. So that's kind of how we do it and some of the different ways in which we do it.
So if I'm pulling all of that information into my Catchpoint infrastructure, what are the most common use cases where I can use that data and bring it into my own network performance monitoring?
Hopefully, when we talk about monitoring, it's probably understood that there are core uptime, availability, and performance, like how fast or slow is it? What's the latency? What are my round trip times? How does that round trip time vary given a particular path? But where is that core uptime and performance measured? Telemetry at the edge, right? Your edge may go as far as your cloud or may go even further with things like CDN. But also, it's not just about a static edge like images on S3. We're seeing more and more the need for IPM because of growing functions at the edge. So think Fastly's compute at the edge, Akamai edge workers, etc. So ensuring and optimizing reliability and reach of your ever-growing edge is probably the essential critical use case for IPM. And also, I think another relevant use case would be for network path engineering traffic shaping. So I recall an architect from a Fortune 500 saying, I consider the internet to be a part of our backbone. It's very important to monitor our traffic from our premise to the cloud and back again. So it's really important to do these tests with synthetic monitoring. So with Catchpoint, you can do this for single paths, single endpoints, but also you can do this with what we call mesh testing. An x-axis set of agents continually getting network data from a y-axis set of agents. And I guess it gives you like a checkerboard view of the data between them. So whether it's from your premises or those clouds we mentioned. But anyways, connectivity and shaping, also another core use case for IPM.
In that matrix, I can get a sense of from this point to this point, based on that matrix, exactly what my performance is going to be.
Correct. And trying to explain it without a visual, I was like, it's a
It's
checkerboard view.
yeah, yeah. I got it. I know what you're doing. I know what you're saying, Leo.
So we talked about some network metrics, traceroute. I assume I can get things like latency, jitter, drop packets and stuff. But you also go beyond that. You can do synthetic application testing.
Yes, tools for your basic web synthetics, your premium set of capabilities, and what we call internet synthetics, and just kind of be mindful of that network of intelligent agents we mentioned a moment ago. But what we do is run full synthetic transaction monitors for web transactions, API transactions, using Playwright, Puppeteer, and fun fact, a lot of people probably don't know this, but Catchpoint still maintains webpagetest.org for free. So that's for your front end performance and performance optimization recommendations, things like that.
So web page test is an open source project, but Catchpoint is the patron. Is that what you're saying?
You are correct. So webpagetest.org, founded by Patrick Meenan. We acquired them a couple of years ago. We still maintain the open source project for free. And then we do have, if you want to, some premium set of capabilities within our portal to get additional things like alerting, things like that. Then we do offer competitive pricing packages for web page test premium. You are correct.
With the synthetic transactions, I could put on my pure cynic hat, Leo, and go, I'm a network engineer. If my network's up and running, I don't care what's going across the pipes. I'm going to deliver your packets. Everything's going to be fine. From my perspective, whatever your synthetic transactions are, not my problem. But that's not actually accurate, Leo, as far as how I should feel about synthetic transactions.
What's that expression? Not my circus, not my monkeys, or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But also we don't want to assume, right? We don't want to assume a network engineer would never care about things like DNS or APIs, right? They very well may be in their purview of responsibilities. But when it comes to transaction monitoring, network metrics are embedded right in because we capture all those metrics in an HTTP transaction, for example, load time, response time, and more importantly, give the AI and analytics on top of it to do things like see those metrics by ISP, geography, by cloud, et cetera, because those internet stacks are different in different parts of the world. And then another cool thing we do on top of the transactions is we allow you to concurrently run trace routes, including setting an ECN flag, pings, et cetera, at the same time as those transactions. So, for example, if a path varies, you can answer questions like, does this path with this number of hops correlate to a higher load time? So very powerful stuff.
ECN flag. So you just kind of blew through that acronym there, but I mean explicit congestion notification. So we were talking on a different show with Catchpoint and got into some details about what the ECN flag is all about and why we care. But when that flag is set, you're being notified as the sender that, hey, upstream from you, there's congestion. You need to slow things down. And then why we would care in a test about setting the ECN flag would be to find out that maybe that flag value is being stripped by the ISP. And so ECN and its ECN as a function, and then the L4S it's supporting is maybe non-functional.
You are correct, right? L4S, low loss, low latency, scalable. And then if it's being stripped or bleached, we sometimes say, but essentially, right, we want it to make things as fast as possible. And that's why I stressed it a couple of times, the network of intelligent agents. We get to tell you that because it's got to be supported across the entire path. And if it's gone in even one hop or one leg, then it's gone for the entire path and you lose the benefit. So we're going to help companies be at the forefront of implementing L4 or being ready for L4S, I should say. You are correct. And that's why we do it that way.
I'm curious with the synthetic transactions, because you mentioned earlier, like when we're talking about the internet, that there's a lot to it. So if I'm getting, a user might say Azure slow, but with synthetic transactions, could I get more granular? Like, well, it's this region, it's this set of applications, not just the whole cloud is slow.
Yes. So, what comes to mind is we think about granularity and cardinality. So granularity, maybe for the sake of the conversation, I'll say the different levels. So whether it's at the top level, like what are the times for the entire transaction, to the individual steps, to the individual pages, to the individual hosts, to the individual requests on the page, and then to the individual HTTP components of those individual requests.
Oh, wow.
We capture all of those out of the box with the unique ability to allow you to specify an infinitely possible list of custom indicators on top of that.
Okay, so very granular.
Very granular. And then, like I said, the analytics on top. So it'd be like, okay, this cloud versus that cloud, this ISP versus that ISP, this geography versus that geography, and so on.
So that is a lot of data that you're collecting. Are you bringing machine learning or AI into the picture?
Yes, that is a lot of data. So what the heck do you do with it, right?
Mm.
So we do offer native in the UI AI capabilities, but also just a side note, you do have access to real-time webhooks and APIs in case you want to send it to, for example, your own data lake, something like that. But having said that, I'll kind of say that we do have what I would consider to be expected AI capabilities, including the ability to turn mountains of data into molehills of insights, as I like to say, Leo Vasiliou, patent pending, um, identify trend shifts, identify anomalies, surface correlations across those different telemetry types we were speaking about earlier, right? Core expected capabilities. Beyond those, though, there are a couple of powerful, unique ones to discuss. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing any justice. So, customers run their own millions and billions of tests. Catchpoint runs their own set of millions and billions of tests to use as a control. So, one of the things we use AI for is to take the data from those billions of tests, aggregate them, display a real-time internet-wide health status for all those tests across critical providers, clouds, etc., around the world. Not just for providers and clouds you are using. And we call this internet sonar. And so if there's an incident, it lets you answer questions like, is it me? Is it something else? Is it regional? Is it global? Right. And then the other unique AI capability that we have is, let's see, if you're familiar with the concept of a service map from like a backend application APM vernacular, what
Yeah.
we do is automatically create that topological view of your app, your network dependencies. It doesn't matter if it's first party, third party, internal, external. But anyway, we create those architectures, dependencies, interaction views, but for your front end. And that's the unique bit of this. And so if you see a problem in this stack map, which is what we call it, then click and drill down to see what the heck is going on. Drill down into, is it something with the app? Is it something with a underlying network or ISP, so on and so forth. So those are a couple of the unique things that we do with AI and ML.
So internet sonar, that's sort of like my, global health view of the broader internet and the major components of it.
It is. And, it gets to a point where customers are customers, but they themselves, going back to what I was saying earlier about how Catchpoint has done a lot of the instrumentation for you. So what we've done is we've taken our own set of control tests so customers can look at their data, compare it to our control, just to get a
Okay.
better understanding, hopefully hasten troubleshooting, triage when something goes from green to red, right? Triage being the idea of you determining, is it T0, T1, T through priority, etc. But otherwise, correct.
So you're giving me a general baseline and I can compare that to my own specific tests and see how we're comparing and where the issues might be.
And to answer those questions, is it me? Is it something else? Is it both of them? Regional, global, right.
Leah, we've been talking about IPM, Internet Performance Monitoring, as a category because all of a sudden it's popped up as an official thing, insofar as Gartner makes things official when they release Magic Quadrants and so on. So that's what's happened here, right? IPM has become this official product category.
Yes, their first ever quadrant for digital experience monitoring, internet performance monitoring. And I look at it as a reinforcement of the need to solve some of the problems we've been discussing and to have some of the capabilities we've been discussing. So it's nice to finally see IPM get the recognition it deserves. As I mentioned, we've been doing this for a long time, and I wish they would have done it sooner, but I guess better late than never.
And presumably Catchpoint is in this Gardner MQ.
Yes, you are correct. Pleased to say that Catchpoint was named a leader in this quadrant. So very proud moment for us.
Yeah, it's always a big deal. And I understand why. So if folks are, their interest has been piqued by this conversation and they want to learn more about Catchpoint, where should they go?
Please visit us at catchpoint.com/techbytes.
Oh, okay, that's very easy. Catchpoint.com/techbytes. Catchpoint is all one word. Techbytes is all one word. Well, Leo, thank you for joining us for this conversation, and thanks to Catchpoint for being a sponsor. Sponsors help enable us to do what we do here at Packet Pushers, which is try to provide you with the best free technical content on networking, IT, security, cloud, DevOps, and more to help you as a professional. If you're interested in finding out more about Packet Pushers, head on over to packetpushers.net, where we've got tons more content, more podcasts, more blogs. You can follow us on LinkedIn. We're on Blue Sky at Packet Pushers, and you can hear us on Spotify. And if you would, leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts because it helps. And last but not least, remember that too much networking would never be enough.